Story number 1, Samantha. I still remember the day I moved into my dorm room at the university. It was a bright, sunny day, and everything looked normal. But as soon as I walked into the room, I felt like something was off. It was like a cold breeze was blowing through the room, even though the windows were closed. I tried to ignore it and started unpacking my bags. As night fell, strange things started happening. I heard whispers in the darkness, but couldn't make out what they were saying. Then, I heard footsteps moving across the floor, even though I was the only one in the room. I sat up in bed, trying to make sense of what was happening. That's when I saw it, a shadow moving across the wall. I sat there, frozen in fear, as the shadow danced around the room. I tried to tell myself it was just my imagination, but deep down, I knew that something wasn't right. Over the next few nights, the occurrences only got worse. I would feel a cold hand on my shoulder in the middle of the night, but when I turned around, no one was there. I started to avoid my dorm room altogether, spending most of my time in the library or at friends' apartments, but the hauntings followed me everywhere. I would see shadows darting across the street as I walked home from class, and I would hear whispers in my ear as I slept. I knew I had to do something. I started researching the history of the dorm building, and what I found was chilling. The building was constructed on the site of an ancient burial ground, where a group of settlers had been buried after succumbing to a mysterious plague. I realized that the spirits of these settlers were trapped in the building, and they were trying to communicate with me. I sought out the help of a local paranormal investigator. Together, we conducted a series of rituals to try and put the spirits to rest. We lit candles, burned incense, and recited ancient prayers. But as we did so, the room started to grow colder and the whispers grew louder. It felt like the spirits were getting angrier. Suddenly, the candles went out, and the room was plunged into darkness. I could hear the sounds of something moving around me, but I couldn't see anything. And then, I felt a cold breath on my neck, and a voice whispering, "You cannot banish us." That's when I knew I had to leave. I packed my bags and left the dorm room for good. But the hauntings didn't stop there. For months afterward, I would hear whispers in my ear and see shadows moving around me. It wasn't until I moved away from the university that the hauntings finally stopped. To this day, I can't explain what happened in that dorm room. But I know that I will never forget the terror that I felt as the spirits of the ancient settlers tried to make contact with me. Story number 2, Satanist Rituals. When I moved into the dorm room with Tam, I didn't think anything of it. He seemed like a normal enough person, if a bit reserved. But as the days went on, I started to notice strange things happening. It started with small things, like a strange smell coming from Tam's side of the room. It was a musty, earthy scent that reminded me of a graveyard. Then I started to hear strange noises at night. It sounded like someone was whispering, but when I tried to listen closer, the sound would stop. One night, I woke up to find Tam sitting on the floor in the middle of the room. He was surrounded by candles, and there was a strange symbol drawn on the wall in what looked like blood. Tam was chanting in a language that I didn't recognize, and there was a strange energy in the room. I was terrified, but I didn't want to confront Tam about it. I tried to ignore the strange things happening in our room, but it was getting harder and harder to do. One night, I woke up to find Tam standing over my bed, his eyes wide and his hair disheveled. He was muttering to himself, and there was a strange aura in the room that made my skin crawl. The next day, I decided that I needed to investigate what was going on. I did some research and discovered that Tam had been posting on dark web forums about his interest in Satanism and the occult. He had been performing secret rituals in our dorm room, trying to summon demons and make contact with otherworldly entities. Things only got worse from there. One night, I woke up to find Tam's side of the room covered in blood. The walls were painted with strange symbols and the air was thick with the smell of sulfur. I could hear Tam whispering in the corner, his voice low and guttural. It was like he was speaking to something that wasn't there. Another night, I woke up to find that Tam had disappeared. His side of the room was empty, but the air was thick with a sense of dread. I could hear strange noises coming from the hallway, like something was scratching at the door. When I went to investigate, there was no one there. The final straw came when I woke up one morning to find that Tam had carved strange symbols into my skin while I was asleep. I knew that I had to get out of that room, and fast. I reported Tam's behavior to the authorities, and they found evidence of his involvement in a local satanic cult. Tam was arrested, and I was able to move out of the dorm room and into a safer environment, but the experience had changed me forever. I was no longer the skeptic I once was. I had seen the power of the supernatural firsthand, and I knew that there were things in this world that I could not explain. The memory of Tam and his satanic rituals haunted me for years, and I would never forget the terror I felt in that haunted dorm room. Story number 3, Strange Occurrences. I moved into my dorm room at the start of the semester, excited to start my college life. But from the very first night, strange things started happening. My closet door kept opening on its own, even though I was sure I had closed it before going to bed. I heard shuffling and whispering voices coming from inside the closet, but when I investigated, there was nobody there. At first, I thought I was just imagining things, but the occurrences only intensified. I felt cold breath on the back of my neck when I was alone in the room, and I saw shadowy figures moving across the walls. One night, I woke up to find a pair of glowing eyes staring back at me from inside the closet. The worst night was when I woke up to find a dark figure standing at the foot of my bed. I couldn't make out any features, but I could feel its malevolent gaze fixed on me. I tried to scream, but no sound came out of my throat. The figure slowly approached me, and I felt its cold breath on my face. I passed out from fear, and when I woke up, the figure was gone. I decided to investigate the history of the dorm building and discovered that it was built on the site of an old asylum. One patient, known as the Whisperer, was kept in solitary confinement in a cell deep within the asylum's bowels. He was rumored to be able to communicate with the dead, and the staff feared him greatly. I realized that my dorm room was directly above the Whisperer's cell, and I became convinced that his malevolent spirit was haunting me. I found out that the asylum was closed down after a mass suicide of the staff and patients, and the Whisperer was never found. His spirit was rumored to be still trapped in the asylum, searching for a way out. I tried everything I could to get rid of the ghost. I burned sage, sprinkled holy water, and recited prayers, but nothing worked. The haunting only intensified, and I began to experience more terrifying events. I woke up one night to find the words, "Get out," written in blood on my wall. I heard a voice whispering my name in my ear, even when there was nobody else in the room. The ghost's malevolent energy affected me so deeply that I began to experience intense anxiety and depression. I stopped eating, stopped sleeping, and even stopped attending classes. I was on the brink of a complete breakdown, and I knew I had to do something drastic to save myself. I sought out the help of a psychic medium who specialized in dealing with malevolent spirits. She agreed to come to my dorm room and perform a ritual to banish the ghost. But when she arrived, she warned me that the ghost was more powerful than she had anticipated. She said that she sensed a dark energy emanating from beneath the dorm building and that the ghost was not alone. As we began the ritual, I felt the temperature in the room drop to freezing. Objects flew across the room, and I could hear the sound of moaning and screaming from inside the walls. The medium screamed in terror and fled the room, leaving me alone to face the ghost. In the end, I barely escaped with my life. I moved out of the dorm room, but the trauma of the experience stayed with me. Even now, when I'm alone, I sometimes hear faint whispering voices calling out to me from the darkness. I'll never forget the terror of being haunted by the whisperer and the other malevolent spirits that reside beneath that cursed dorm building. Disclaimer: the following video contains stories of paranormal experiences shared by real people. These stories are presented for entertainment purposes only, and are not intended to be taken as factual or scientific evidence. The individuals sharing these stories have given their consent for their experiences to be shared publicly. The views and opinions expressed in this video are solely those of the individuals sharing their experiences and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Terror in the Night or its affiliates. We do not endorse or encourage belief in the paranormal or supernatural. Viewer discretion is advised if you enjoy hearing about paranormal experiences. Be sure to subscribe to our channel, Terror in the Night, for more videos like this. We regularly share stories of ghosts, hauntings, and other unexplained phenomena. Don't miss out on our latest uploads. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to be notified whenever we post a new video. Enjoy the stories.